Hey everybody, how you doing? This is about to be a really fun video. I'm gonna show you my whole setup here. This is gonna be my 400 Legend Will It Hunt video. If you're new to the show or you haven't seen my Will It Hunt video series, I take a particular cartridge, in this case 400 Legend, check it at 100 yards. If it's dead on, great. We start stretching it out. If it's not, I'll get it sighted in dead on at 100. And then I show you with the particular ammo that does the best out of the rig. In this case, it's the 400 Legend core-lokt. What is this, 210? Yeah, 210 grainer. If you missed my video where I sighted this in with this stuff, 0.6 inch groups at 100 yards repeated. So cheap, affordable Mossberg Patriot. With this stuff, I'm consistently getting 0.6 inch groups. I'll pop up a little picture right here somewhere when I edit it. But I'm gonna try to stretch this out, to about 300-400 yards with 400 Legend. It's not really meant for that. It's a straight wall, pretty close range, you know. I mean, people might take deer at 300 with it. If you're in a straight wall state, you're restricted to the straight wall stuff. Most people are probably taking deer inside 100 yards with this. But just for fun and for the Will It Hunt video series, I'm going to show you the holdovers, the scope dials, and we're going to stretch it out. I'm confident in it because of the small groups we were getting with this stuff. Let me show you my whole setup end to end, then we're just going to get to slinging them. I'm going to do split screen where I'm going to show you me, the target, and then my scope camera. Should be pretty fun. Check out the whole rig here and we'll get to slinging them. So, like I said, this is a Mossberg Patriot in 400 Legend. This does have a threaded barrel. On the end, I put my Banish 46 V2 can on there. It's big bore can. It's a 400, so we got to have something bigger than 400. So that's my 46 V2 can. And yeah, Mossberg Patriot. On top, I got a Zero-Tech Thrive 3-9. Zero-Tech is one of the ones we get a discount on. On top, this is actually pretty cool. I just started using this thing. This is the new Scope Mate, and we actually have a discount on those. Somebody say, well, why would you want one of those? Well, I think it's pretty cool. You can film your deer hunts through it, or if you do long range stuff or whatever. This new Scope Mate has a built-in screen. What? Pretty cool. You'll see that when I edit the video. But yeah, we're gonna check it here at 100, then get to going. And like I said, this thing really loves those 210 grainers. Let me start with my target downrange at 100 yards, then we're gonna get to stretching it out. It should still be dead on at 100. All right, so now I'm recording on all three cameras. I'm also gonna be writing down the velocities here. That's gonna be one of our key data points that helps us stretch it out. But like I said, we should be dead on at 100 from when I sighted this thing in. So you're gonna be seeing what I'm seeing. Wow. I've got that GoPro camera really close to the target. Let's hope this is still dead on. See what happens. Again, my limitation on this is gonna be my 3 to 9 by 40 for stretching it out, but I think we can do it. It's a 20-41 speed. If anything, we might be a shade high, but I don't think I'm gonna adjust it. So we're still on, and that was a 21-54. So those last two speeds is what I'm gonna average out. I think that first one was not a good reading on my chronograph. What does the box say for these speeds? 2250, so. I'll pop up the barrel length on this when I edit it, just because that's good information for us to have. But we got the chronograph speeds. I'm gonna look up the BC on this. I'm gonna set my turret so we can start dialing it. Then we're gonna stretch it out to 200 next. Be right back. I recently took a long range course out in South Dakota. We're in the middle of nowhere. and they introduced me to a new app that I'm using now. I like it because I can save all my stuff. Normally I'd have to go back, watch my videos. What did I do? This app is free. I'm not promoting it. This is not some sponsored thing, but I took this long range course in South Dakota and I really like this app, and that's what the instructor used. So I'm gonna show you guys. First of all, I got all my data right here. I'm gonna show you my data that I input into it already, and then I'm gonna screen record and walk you through the app real quick. So here's all my data. Sight height, average velocity, the grain weight of those core-lokts, G1BC, got that off Remington's website, putting in 0 elevation, temperature outside, 20-inch barrel, and the barrel twist is 1/16. I'm going to screen record here and edit it into the screen and just show you what I'm doing. Again, this is not some sponsored video. Everybody thinks anytime I talk about a product, it's somebody paying me to do something. I wish there was a lot of people paying me to do stuff, but there really isn't hardly. Screen recorder, here we go. Okay, start recording. So, I'm gonna open up this app. This is the Hornady app. We're using Remington ammo, so it has nothing to do with that, but Hornady paid somebody to do it or something, and it's a free app. So you can see I've already put it in here. My Mossberg Patriot 400 Legend. I've also got my 300 PRC in there and my 300 Win Mag in there that I've already done. So I'm gonna click this. It's got the rifle. It even lets you take a picture of it. And then I'm just gonna look at some stuff. I was already messing around with this. You can see, I like this because it's kind of dynamic. So I've sighted it in at 100. You look at the bottom of the page, we shouldn't have any come up because it's dead on at 100. Just to show you what all I've put in here already. So I put the muzzle velocity in there, 2145. It's sighted in at 100. The sight height I measured, height over bore to be 1.8. The barrel twist on this Patriot is 1/16. No wind. So you can see I put all that in there. I also put the BC and everything in there. Where's all that data? Okay, so there's what I put in there. The scope, the ammo, the 210, already. The BC is 0.207. 400 Legend is 0.4005. That's the G1BC set. So we got the ammo in there. 400 Legend is slower with that 2145. I'm going to assume it's going to drop at 210 to 12 inches, so that's how I'm just going to check myself. So as I move this dial up to 200 yards, which is my next steel target, I'm going to look at the bottom. This is an MOA scope, so I've got it set for MOA. I'm going to click that. It's going to tell me if I had a mil scope, it'd be 1.28. If I was just doing holdovers in inches, it'd be 9 inches. So in my head, yep, it saved the data right, and that's going to be correct. So I'm going to dial my scope. It says 4.39 MOA. I'm going to go ahead and dial up for 5. Not 5, 4.5. So I'm going to dial to 4.5. And then I'll just know that it's probably going to hit slightly high because I dialed slightly higher than 4.39 to 4.5. So one other thing, in the bottom right, it has this chart. I can click that chart and this thing's going to give me all this information. So 0'd at 100, at 200, the MOA is, well, I've got my inches right there, 9 inches. MOA is 4.3. Yeah, it's got all this data in there. So then, if you had it set for mils, it'd tell you the mils. 300 is dropping almost 3 feet. 400
now I got my
is
200 yard
82
target
inches.
camera
My
on.
goodness.
Now something that I
might not have
always
enough
want to
dial
mention when I do these
3 to
Will and
9
Hunt
to do
videos
that, but we'll see how it
is
goes as we
foot-pounds
start
of energy.
stretching it out. But let me run down and turn my
So,
200 yard
at the
target
muzzle,
on. I'm
and I'll
dialed for 4.5
screenshot this
MOA, which is going to give us
so I
roughly
can
9
put it in the
inches
video.
of elevation up.
At the muzzle, with this ammo, 210 grainers, 2,145 foot-pounds of energy. At 100 yards, where we got it sighted in, 1,490. At 200, where we're about to hit, 1,019 foot-pounds. So a lot of people might say 400 Legend is a 200-yard rig. Well, I just parked my side-by-side in between me and the target. That ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to move that. So 200 yards. It's got 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. At 300, 711, and you see the chart right here. It starts losing energy real fast. But just to call that out, a lot of people might say, hey, you shouldn't take a 400 legend past 200. If you practice and you're confident and you got some good ammo that group's good for you, you might take it a lot further, or a little further than that, but that's up to you. I'm just giving you the data. Let me move my side-by-side. All right, here we go. Let me turn my scope camera recording. When I filmed these, oh my goodness, you have got to be kidding me. I didn't put the target up? Oh no, I did. It's just a 3-9 and it's so small. I said that's gonna be my limitation. I've got it at 9 power, but you guys are gonna be seeing through the scope camera what I'm seeing. So 9 power zoomies at 200 yards. That's a small target, but we're dialed for it. I get in such a hurry doing this stuff. I got to drive all the way down there, turn the camera on, drive all the way back. I do silly things like leave my side-by-side right here in front of the table. All right, here we go. We're dialed for the 200. Let's see if our little app gave us the right dial. In theory, that's a 8-inch gong. So in theory, we would need to hold like 4 inches above it. But since we dialed, I'm just gonna hold center of that. Man, that target is small. And here we go. Missed. Looked like we missed high, but okay, we hit that one on the top edge. But again, that trigger squeeze kind of surprised me, to be honest. I wasn't quite ready for that one. Really focus on my squeeze here. There we go. So, like I said, I expected it to be a little bit high, but that's hitting a little bit higher than I wanted. Let's send one more. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna turn it down to 4 MOA, and then I'll see about truing this data up in the app. I'm gonna send one at 4 with a center hold and see where it hits. Yeah, so really 4 is a better one. That being said, let me take a look at the app. In the app, it has something called truing, where you can tell it, hey, you told me 4.39, but really the dial is 4. And then it'll take the curve and adjust it for all distances based on your actual true data, which normally you'd be truing it out further than 200. But for a 400 Legend, we're not gonna be taking it much further than that. So 4 MOA is my dial for this rig. Let me write that down and we'll get set up for 300. All right, so I don't wanna mess any of you guys up. If you're skipping around in a video, you might be messed up, but I went ahead and trued it up. I don't want to make this an hour-long video and be super painful, so I set it to 3.5 and just sent one, and it hit even closer to the center. So I trued it up to a 3.5 MOA. Now let's look at our full chart, because 3.5 was a better number in the real world. So really it says it's only dropping about 7 inches. Now the further we stretch this out, the more exact we got to have. So there's the MOA is 3.5, velocity 1772 at 200 yards. So really only dropped about 7 inches, and my come up was 3.5. So now let's go to 300. It says 8.2 MOA, so I'm gonna dial it for 8.25. Normally at 300 yards I have a little bitty deer sized target I like to put down there, but I'm gonna put my biggest target just to give me a little bit forgiveness. We're starting to get a little bit wild as far as distance goes for 400 Legends. So 8 1/4. Let's go see how it hits at 300 yards. Should be pretty cool. All right, camera is recording at 300 yards now. And I'm gonna have to get my chart again. Man, that's so far away. That target's so far away with a 9 power scope. Anyways. If I was deer hunting with a 400 Legend and expected to take a 300 yard poke, I would want more than a 9 power zoom scope. But I think 3 to 9 power is pretty good example of what everybody's using. So I trued it at 3.5 for 200 yards, and now when I move my chart to 300 yards, it told me 8.2 MOA. Let's see how true that is. I kind of get the feeling that's going to be low, but I'm just going off of real data, and this is the type of stuff you got to do if you're going out hunting. When you get out to 300 and further, this is where it's real nice to have a buddy be a spotter for you and say low, high, and all that stuff. But if I go to my big chart, this 0 to 100 at 300 yards should be dropping about 26 inches. So with a 9 power scope, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be confident just holding 26 inches over. So we dialed it for 8 1/4. Now, this is going to be hard. This does have a good trigger. I'm going to steady my rest as much as possible. This is all Caldwell AR500, by the way. A lot of people have been asking me about those deer targets, but take my hat off. We're getting super precise now. See where we're at with this 8.2 dial for 300. We might have to go get the big target, but I said, that's too easy. Let's try the deer target. And at the end of the video, we wouldn't have different targets to look at. So try my best here at 300 on this 1/3 size deer. Impact looked like just left of the front leg. We hit him in the brisket. So, man, I forgot my paper. Let's send another one right there. We might need to come up just a tad more, but let's send another one. Lobbing them in there. Yeah, and that one was kind of on the same plane there. So I'm going to document all this. I'm going to bring it up to 8.5 MOA for 300. Might need to come up even a little more than that, but let's try this one. That one, we got him in the leg. We need more. Let's just go on and go up to 9 MOA. Send a few. We hadn't missed yet. So our numbers are close, but they're not perfect. But if you're gonna be hunting, especially, at these distances, you gotta test it out. So now we're at 9 MOA, and let's just see where we hit on this deer at 300 now. This is fun. It's nice when it all actually comes together and you're not guessing all over the place. Here's 9 MOA. Little right. That's me though, but the up and down looks pretty good. So 9 is going to be what I save and inscribe on the side of this stock. This one flings them so good, I'll never get rid of this 400 Legend. It hit about the same spot there. I'm hitting right. I tend to do that in all these videos. I don't know if it's my trigger squeeze or my level or what. Got it again. We're hitting them in the guts though, but our elevation is good. We're gonna call at 300 yards, 9 MOA dead on for this core-lokt load. Yeah. And what would that be in mils? 2.4 mils for 300. I'm gonna see if it'll let me true it up again at 300 yards. It's called axial form factor in here. So 9 was dead on for 300. I'm thinking maybe I probably needed a little bit more velocity data than just going off of 2, but we're making it work, man. Okay, now I'm gonna go put a target up at 400. At 400 yards, I am gonna use a full-size IPSC. Be right back. Whew. All right, now y'all, we're talking about some serious business. Got my tables a little bit off. 400 yards, every little thing matters. Now we had 3.5 MOA for 200. We had a 9 MOA for, trail camera just went off. 9 MOA for 300. So what are we thinking for 400? Now, if I use my little deal here, it's gonna tell me 14.25. I'm gonna think it's probably more like 15. So let me just go to 15. We do have enough dial in this, even though it's a 3 to 9 by 40, I can dial 15 MOA. And I'm gonna hold center of that target down there and see where she hits. There's pretty much no wind, and at 400 yards, we shouldn't have enough spin drift to really even think about it yet. I'm gonna hold dead center of that target, see what happens. 400 yards with a 9 power scope and 400 legend. Really gotta focus on my stability and my trigger squeeze here. Just because of where the sun is in the sky, I almost feel like I can see the 400 better than the 300 through the scope. I stayed in the scope and we hit just in front of the target. So, that being said, how much MOA do we need? I'm gonna come up 2 more. So here's 17 MOA. If I had a big honker long range reticle, I'd just measure it in the reticle, but I've got an old school duplex. Here's 17 MOA for 400 yards. That still looked like it hit low. Let's go 19 MOA. Quite a bit more than what it asked for. Impact, bottom right quadrant. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and give it 20 MOA and see where this gets us. 20 MOA for 400. This just goes to show, especially with these slower rounds, you really gotta get out there and see what actually works. The faster ones, you know, at 200, 300, 400 yards are a lot more forgiving because they're a lot flatter. Man, this thing's doing this. Woo! 20 MOA for 400 yards. Hit the exact same spot as the last one. And I got sweat bees on me today. Still hitting low where I'm aiming, but I'm still gonna send these just for purposes of a group. That one I must have had bad form because we completely missed the steel. Now we are getting this thing pretty hot. It's not crazy though. I'm gonna come up 1.5 more. So that was 20, 21, 21.5 MOA. And I think we should be hitting more towards the center of the target. Our left and right isn't too terrible, but we are lobbing them in there. 21.5 MOA here. So try to remember where we're hitting on the steel. Couldn't tell where that one hit. Saw it go off again. We might just be still putting them down in the same spot. Yeah, we're just stacking them in there apparently. Let me come up. That was 21.5 to 22. 22 is all that this scope's gonna let me dial. So I'm gonna leave it there. Let's just send a couple more. I spent all the time setting all this up. I might as well have a little fun. These videos take me like an entire day between the setup, the filming, and the editing. These Will It Hunt episodes are pretty intensive. Let's send 2 more. Here's with a 22 MOA dial. Hit it. So really, I think we could call it for 400 yards, 22 MOA. Well, so I got 3.5 MOA for 200, 9 MOA for 300, and 22 MOA for 400. And don't worry, at the end of the video, I'll put all that in a chart if you got a mil scope or you're just holding over in inches. Just to boom, 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 tell you what all that means. So now we're back down to 0 there. But yeah, that was fun. I don't know if I didn't hit record on this or what, but I lost the 400 yard footage. That's a bummer. All right, so here's my 200 yard target. The best hit there was a 3.5 MOA dial. Let's go look at the 300. Now here's my 300 yard target. That's a 1/3 size Caldwell AR500 deer. Now, I think it was 8.5 that was getting us right there, or maybe 8. But our hits when I dialed with 9 were right about borderline in the middle where you want to be square. So 300 yards, I don't think I missed one time. Let's go to 400. All right, now 400, my final dial was 22 MOA. You can see we've got some variance here. I can't remember which one was hitting where, but we had a pretty good level up and down there. That side to side is just me being level and my trigger squeeze, and that had a couple down there. At the beginning, I know I hit a couple low because I could see them through the scope, but my verified dial that I would use for this, 400 yards, and that core-lokt 210, 22 MOA for 400 yards. And that's all my scope had. After that, I'd be holding up a little higher, which I probably could have done, but right there, 22 MOA for 400 yards. All right, so I'm finishing up the edit of this video, guys, and I promised you I'd put a drop table and corresponding dials for MOA holdovers and mills. It's right here. So if you're dialed at 100 yards and you got an MOA scope, there's your dials, 3.5, 9, and 22 for the yardages in 100 yard increments. If you got a mil scope, that equates to 1 for 200 yards, 2.6 for 300 yards, and 6.4 for 400 yards. In inches, this is if you just had like a duplex like me and you didn't want to dial your holdovers. 7-inch holdover at 200 yards, 28-inch holdover at 300 yards, and at 400 yards, that's a 92-inch holdover. rainbowing them in there. But hey, appreciate you watching. Let me know if you love 400 Legend. It is my goal to take us a whitetail with this stuff this coming season at 210 grain Remington core-lokt 400 Legend. Appreciate y'all. Let me know if your favorite cartridge I haven't done yet in the Will It Hunt series, and I'll do this. I'm doing this video series with all the cartridges out there. Appreciate y'all watching. Stay tuned for more. Truly appreciate you watching. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you on the next one. New videos every single day. Appreciate y'all.